First and foremost, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the International Federation on Ageing, I want to thank Dr. Gangadharan for his leadership and also the most generous hosting of Heritage Foundation of this, the 12th IFA Global Conference on Ageing. This is a very important conference, as Dr. Gangadharan has mentioned, because it really acknowledges where our conferences were born, and that's in your great country of India, under the leadership of Dr. Sharad Gokhale. During the course of the next 4 days, the conference also shines a light on India, and that's an important point and that I would like you to accept and write up, because in shining a light on India, it also shines a light on the policies that have been developed at a central and state level, but also some of the good work that's going on, as well as some of those areas that need attention. Because what we should be doing in the world today is celebrating the increased life expectancy of older people in most countries around the world. Currently, there are approximately 800 million people over the age of 60, and by 2050, we expect this to reach 2 billion. Over the next 10 years, India will overtake China as the most densest populated country in the world. So there's very good reasons for delegates to come and be interested about the nations such as India, and where older people still play a strong role in the heart of the community. In the course of the next few days, we're going to be listening to delegates that will be talking about financial protection, the care, the issues of care, the standardisation of care, the accreditation of care models. We'll be talking about decent employment for men and women in their older ages. We'll be talking about abuse and neglect, and also the new concept of age-friendly cities and communities. In terms of the delegates that will be coming, we expect delegates from 20 or 30 different countries around the world. And those delegates will bring their expertise and experience, but expect to learn from delegates in India. We'll also be expecting representatives from senior governments around the world, as well as the United Nations Population Fund, the World Health Organization, and the United Nations Development Programme. So this program highlights the importance of growing older in your country, but also around the world. Some of the points that I just would like to make in respect to the program relates to some of the statistics that you will hear and some of the issues that you'll hear from older people. So, for example, in Georgia, we know that at least 50% of people, older people, work in agriculture. And as we hear these lessons from different countries in the world, we must look at what is happening in India. And Gangadharan certainly mentioned, the fine policies that are in place. But like many countries, India has not implemented these policies and these pieces of legislation. So policies without implementation are like glasses without water. You cannot implement and you cannot improve the quality of life of older people. One of the issues that we must also look at is the role of women in this country and around the world. Because in many respects, women and men in their older ages are holding the family together. So the changing nature and form of family as joint families, but also as supportive mechanisms for community, will be introduced. We will also talk about financial protection. And in your country, as well as many less developed countries, the issue of financial protection for all is a rights-based issue. So alongside the concurrent sessions, of which there are 6 or 7 every day, you know, the general tone will be looking at whether the rights of older people are indeed being protected in your country and around the world. So there'll be sessions on the post-2015 agenda. What happens? What do we do after the Millennium Development Goals in 2015? You know, the Sustainable Development Goals, and how do older people, you know, have a voice in those goals? And secondly, how do we as nations and as responsible citizens see the rights of older people being protected? The question that we need to ask ourselves is not how many more older people are being abused, but why are any older people being abused? That's one of the key questions when we debate these issues as part of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, which will be central to this conference. So in summing up, we will have delegates from many parts of the world. We will have expert speakers, including the great and honourable Professor Muhammad Yunus, who will be the keynote speaker opening the day. We have representatives from UNFPA, WHO, the United Nations and UNDP. We'll be talking about the life course approach to vaccinations. We'll also be talking about long-term care and informal care, as well as financial protection, decent work, and seeing the ageing issues through the lenses of gender and culture. We celebrate here today and over the next 3 days the increased life expectancy of older people. And if I said to you that many of you in this room will reach the age of 80 and 90 and some of you will reach 100, you may be surprised. And that's the truth. But while many of us will reach these great ages, we also only want to reach that age with a quality of life. But we also need to remember those people, because of poverty, because of lack of support, because of lack of care and access to good treatments everywhere in the world, some of those people, perhaps some of your family, may not reach the age of 80 and 90 or 60 or 50. And so we need to, at this conference, stand up for the rights of older people and encourage governments, such as your government, federally and state, to not only create good policies, but to implement those policies and ensure those policies are evaluated. We welcome all of you to listen closely to the messages and the declaration that comes out of this conference, because each and every government around the world understands the importance of older people as part of their community and social and economic contributors. So we thank you very much for coming together at this press conference. Thank you, Dr. Gandera.